Lately, it seems like about every other video I watch makes me want to record something, want to respond, want to highlight something about it. And I haven't been doing that. I've just been watching it. It's kind of new. But what the heck? I just watched a good one. I get an email once a week from Disclose TV. Maybe it's disclose.tv. I don't know. Anyway, they show their top watched vids of the week. And it had a good one. Now, it was on UFOs, and I don't watch a lot of those. I know they exist, so I don't need anything proved to me. But this one's really good. It's got some excellent sightings, videos, documentation. They got radar info from the area, and it was done by Discovery, I guess it is. And it's good. It's about 45 minutes long, and I'll link you to it in the transcript or the written journal that goes with this one. Now, here's the thing. Here's what it brings up for me. It's not anything about UFOs. It's about us. I'm always talking about how we're great, magnificent beings and we're powerful. The last one that I just uploaded had to do with how we give some of that power away if we find ourselves either in fear or in blame, finger pointing. But again and again, I sing the song of our power. I suspect a lot of us don't know that we're powerful. Among the ones who know it, I know a lot of us don't know how to exercise it. So get yourself in heart, if you will, please. Center down and listen from there while I try to share what comes to me here. And, you know, I don't know if you know. All right, whatever. You're in superposition everywhere. There's no where that you're not, there's no when that you're not, because you're not the body. The body's the only thing that has a time-space element to it here in 3D. All we have to do is just get up to the very next level where consciousness is headed, which, you know, for fun, I've labeled 5D. I don't know. You know, do things come with labels like that? I don't think so. They're just mental constructs. Anyway, from the next highest level of consciousness that I access, time-space is very much like what the people talk about in their NDEs. It's all one. Everything is simultaneous. And so people have this challenge trying to lay it out in a linear way, like pearls on a string, in order to tell the tale of what was just simultaneous. So that's tricky. But we're all multidimensional. That's one way of exercising our power, is just to know it. To know that you're multidimensional, to know that you have access to higher levels of consciousness, and you don't have to wait for ascension or any such thing. We can exercise these things here and now. Don't wait for 1221, you know? Let's get with it now. Okay, so from heart, you're everywhere and every when. You have access to it all, and it's all within. There's nothing out there. It's all inside. Okay, that's one thing. Now, the word creates. The Bible tries to share that with us, but there is power in sound. So even just in the sound is power. But if you had that sound emitted by a computer, it would only have the power of the sound. It wouldn't have the power of your heart, your intention, and your essence behind it. So in addition to just the power of sound, which we can see with Cymatics, and I'll try to remember to put a link or two displaying the power of sound on water, illuminating the power of sound and how it has an influence. Okay, so you have the power of sound. You also have the power of your intent. Thought creates. There's nothing in existence that wasn't thought first. All right, so thought is where it is on the way into a manifestation. Maybe you could say thought collapses the wave. I don't know exactly. I'm not much of a physicist. Anyway, so you have the power of your intent. Now, I'll step out on a bit of a limb with this next one and try to put something in linear terms. And just remember the inherent faults or flaws of anything linear, because it's only real here. As soon as you take your next step up, it goes away. But you can say that there are differences among power sources. And even if you just look at gold and the purity of gold, 24 karat, 18 karat, 10 karat, and so on, when it's more pure, there's more of the power of the gold present. When we are more pure, there is more of the power of the source present. So when we're living from integrity, ethics, and honor, we're like a power station. We enable a stream of greater intensity to flow through, because I don't know why, but I will say, by living that way, it seems to me that we carve out a more direct access to that. Now, maybe that's a funny way to put it, because really it comes from within, but we do the best we can. All of this just to say that when and if you watch this video, you'll notice how the people who saw these things, even the police, when they had contact with the local military to find out what was going on, did they have any F-16s flying, and so on, there was nothing but obfuscation. I'm so fed up with lying, deceitful treatment by civilians, by the military for the civilian populace. I am so fed up with this arrogant attitude that thinks that they deserve to know things and we don't, even though we pay their salaries. We buy all of their equipment, and pardon me, I have a bit of a charge behind this. It makes me angry. And so what I caught myself doing is what I want to share with you. I called out to Source and I said, I'm calling a halt to the lying and the deceit, the hiding, and I believe they even sent up one of their aircraft and had it shoot flares so that they could confuse some people and then come back and say, well, that was obviously flares, and so obviously you're mistaken and you're deluded if you think it was anything else. It just makes me, I'm just fed up, okay? As a light being, I'm just fed up. And so what I'm suggesting is that when you're more in touch with the light, when you're living that life of honor and integrity, you have more power. I don't know how to say it any simpler than that. And your word counts. We vote in this country, and I guess a lot of us don't. But if we look at the general idea behind voting, it is to make a selection based on what the people want, and that's done in 3D. Well, you vote with your prayers too. You vote with your word. You vote with your intent. And your votes are counted in proportion to your power and to your light. If we had someone like Jesus Christ walking the earth, we could say that maybe one of his votes, his prayer votes, would be worth 1,000,000 of somebody else's. It's a proportionate thing, and it's physics. It's not that we've got preferential treatment for some over others, and it's not that anybody is any better than anybody else. I'm not saying anything at all like that. It's just got to do with the power in purity. And we're all source. We're all thoughts in the mind of God, if you will. And so God is who and what we are. And there's a real power there that because we don't know about it, we don't access it. It's like being in prison all your life with the key in your breast pocket. And you don't know it, so you don't pull it out and you don't let yourself out. Okay, so it's time to know these things. And what's it going to hurt? Okay? What's it going to hurt if you voice your opinion to source and say, enough of this, enough of that, I want some more of that over there. And when you have any kind of intensity behind it, that gives it a little extra oomph, you know? So I'm saying it's like the meditators. What is it? TM, Transcendental Meditation. I'm not too much into that, but the fact is they did research and they've got some science behind them. They were wise enough to go and send their meditators into various areas and time it and have them, these are trained people who really know, how to center down, have them meditate at certain times and with certain numbers of them doing it, and they tracked the crime statistics in those areas. In one case, it was war, and so they tracked some of the war statistics. And they have some powerfully solid evidence that your consciousness has a difference. It makes a difference where you are. And it can be proved and established, and I'm sure it will be in this century. Right now, we're kind of in the dark ages on a lot of things like this. But we don't have to wait for somebody else to prove something in order for us to implement it. We can implement it now. So even if you're doing a silent prayer, it contains that power. But if you'll speak it, the power is even greater. So when you're alone or whatever, go take a walk, go out in the woods, go to the park. I don't care if people think I'm a loon, If I feel something really strongly, I'm liable to be walking down the street and come out with it. Let's care less about what people think and more about being true to ourselves and to our own inner guidance. All right. As a PS to this, I will add, I've been reading Nancy Danison's books, the Backwards series of books. I love, that's been my idea all along. Everything's upside down and backwards here in 3D. It's like this is a negative for the life of spirit, which would be the positive. That would be the real print that has all the color and everything else in it. And the negative is something less than that, or the mirror image of it. I was surprised to hear her say that in higher consciousness, and she got into really deep, high consciousness. She was actually merging back into source in process of surrendering her individuality as she merged into that. She said she too was surprised to find out that you can feel anger there. She was angry after having been shown in like a panoramic documentary. She wanted to know why what she was taught as a Catholic, and she went through many years of religious education, why it was so far off from what she found out to be true when she got to the other side herself. And so in answer to this, Source showed her the whole history of the planet, and in the midst of it, how religion played out, how it played a part. And Nancy was deeply shocked, even stricken by this. At one point, she said she almost, everything that came after, she almost couldn't pay much attention to it because she was so shocked by what she had already seen and the way that it challenged everything she'd been taught and the values and the beliefs that she'd based on that. And so I think it's fun finding out, we're so very curious about what we are in the higher dimensions and about what life is like there. And so anger isn't necessarily a bad thing, my friends. anger can be a very healing thing. It can cut away and excise something that's diseased and unhealthy and no good for us anymore. And sometimes I think it takes the intensity of energy that might manifest or seem to manifest as what we call anger. Just like we don't have an understanding of what real love is here until we cross over, or I guess we can access it in meditation in different ways. We don't have to almost die to discover these things, but if you almost die, that's a good way. I mean, you will discover what unconditional love is really like, and it's overwhelming. Nancy has one called "What Does Unconditional Love Feel Like?" And she describes it the way she felt it over there outside of her dead body. And then when she was writing her book, and so she was reliving these things in order to put it down and share it with us, and she said she began to feel it again while in the body, and she said it actually made her feel sick. The body isn't designed to handle things from very high dimensions. Same with the mind. Our concepts around love they're not worthless, they're just not it. They're just not it at all. And I'm thinking that anger is the same. And so let's have a lot less of self-judging and self-criticizing over anything, my dear friends. Okay. Talk to you again soon.